Hello everyone, Storm11 here. Today we'll be taking a look into my February 2021 forecast. My forecast does include temperatures, precipitation, the overall forecast. We'll also be taking a look to a couple of weather models, and we'll also take a look to the Current Prediction Center's forecast and my thoughts on their forecast. So let's go ahead and get started with my forecast with temperatures. And you can notice here, I'm definitely looking like a pretty cold month, at least for portions of the United States. I mean, portions in the Midwest, and eventually getting into portions of the Great Lakes. We do expect some below average temperatures across some of those regions. Meanwhile, areas in the light blue, which includes the Northwest, the Northern Rockies, getting all the way down to the lower Ohio, pretty much the Ohio Valley, will likely be experiencing some slight below average temperatures. In areas that are not shaded here, EC means equal chances, or you could say it's going to be average. It's not really looking to be a warm month either. Not many people or not because not many people will be seeing above average, slightly above average temperatures here, mainly for the Gulf Coast, pretty much, and also far northeastern Maine. And that's really it here for the warmth. So it's looking to be a little bit of a cold month here for February, which is a pretty good setup for some winter weather around here. And let's take a look to my precipitation forecast. I think generally the upper Midwest, the northern plains, and the northwestern United States will likely be seeing some slight above average precipitation. We'll likely have some lows that will be coming off the northern Pacific, eventually coming through those regions, and they'll have a decent amount of cold air behind it. And they may bomb out somewhere around here in around the Great Lakes, bringing in a decent amount of snow, at least for the northern side of the system here, with a trailing front here, and eventually later on down the road, we'll probably have a front kind of sagging, probably stationary front, and then eventually a new low could develop, and it can go through the northern Arctic region, through the Tennessee Valley to the Ohio Valley, eventually get into the northeast, which is another area of slightly above average precipitation for areas in the green. And areas not shaded, EC, it's pretty much the same thing as temperatures, but it's just in a way of precipitation. Then areas in the brown, that's where areas will likely experiencing some slight below average precipitation, which I understand some of these guys are still dry, even though they got a decent amount of rain through January, but it's looking like it'll be turning a little bit dry again. Although most of California, though, they're getting a lot of rain and snow, so that should nearly kill the drought, which I think you guys will start to turn drier, a little bit drier again here. But I don't think it's going to be that bad for February. So let's take a look at the overall forecast here. So we'll go from west to east. So again, areas in the northwest, we do expect stormy conditions to continue with lows coming onto shore. And eventually it moves into the northern plains, bringing in some very cold and some snowy conditions across the northern plains, the upper Midwest, and two portions of the Great Lakes. And then you got areas in the gray here, which is for a very large area, which includes most of California, Nevada, Utah, most of Wyoming, Colorado, Nebraska, Kansas, a good chunk of Oklahoma, the Texas Panhandle, central northern Missouri, southern Iowa, central Illinois, northern Indiana, eastern Michigan, and northwestern Ohio. Pretty much, you guys will just expected to see really your typical February here. Average temperatures, snowfall, all that jazz there. In Desert Southwest, unfortunately, you guys will be turning drier again here. Even though a decent amount of you guys did get to see a pretty good amount of rain, especially for southwestern California and Arizona. I know you guys got a decent amount of rain back in January, especially late January. But I think you guys will be turning a little bit dry again, unfortunately. So that's not good news there. But at least some of that rain has killed off some of that drought there as well. And as we move on to the east, this is where things get a little bit interesting. So areas in the green, which includes really northeastern Texas, southeastern Oklahoma, northern Louisiana, southern Arkansas, northern Mississippi, northern Alabama, southeastern Tennessee, northern Georgia, eventually getting into the mountain regions of the Carolinas, and eventually to southeastern Virginia. It'll be a little bit wet at times across these regions. There may be a small chance for some severe weather, but there aren't big chances. What I mean is there are probably some marginal, maybe some slight risk days. Although I don't think severe weather should not be too much of a problem as you get into North Carolina, South Carolina, and southeastern Virginia. But we gotta watch for that because eventually sometime around maybe late February, we're going to start to see a little bit of a pattern change where we'll start to see a southeast ridge build, and that will increase those severe weather chances. So that'll be something to watch for. And for areas along the pretty much the Gulf Coast states into portions of the Carolinas, we'll expect to see mostly dry conditions, but we cannot rule out a couple severe weather chances as well. Severe weather season will start to get active across a decent amount of these regions, especially across Dixie Alley or the Mid South, you could say. That's where severe weather chances start to increase on average. So watch for portions of Dixie Alley, especially if we're going to see a southeast ridge build up. That will really increase your severe weather chances. So areas in light blue here, which really goes from northern Arkansas, southeastern Missouri, northwestern Tennessee, Kentucky, southern Indiana, most of Ohio, eventually get into West Virginia. There's going to be a pretty active storm pattern here. Most models do agree on above average precipitation for these regions here. But when you also have cold air in place here, there'll be a chance for at least a winter storm or two, which the medium range guidance like the GFS, the Euro, and the Canadian models do show the potential for some winter action across each regions here. So we're going to watch for that closely there, and there may be a chance for two. I got pretty lucky on the last forecast. If you guys haven't seen the last forecast, I think I predicted some snow for as far south as northern Louisiana. Well, they got a winter storm out of it. So I got pretty lucky on that one. I don't know if I'll get lucky this time for northern Arkansas. So, but we'll see about that. Then we'll zoom in a little bit here. So for areas in the pink, which includes most of Virginia, the mountains of North Carolina and Tennessee, and southeastern Kentucky, and southeastern West Virginia, and eventually get into southern Maryland, Delaware, and southern New Jersey. Winter battle zone, you'll have a mix of rain, snow, you'll get some ice here and there. By the way, a lot of these regions have been experiencing a decent amount of ice this winter, which actually that may continue throughout this winter here, February. In the last region, which is the Northeast, we are getting into nor'easter season, which these areas at the time of making this video are experiencing a nor'easter. So that kind of counts it in here. And I think you guys can experience at least a couple more nor'easters in February, pretty much before most of your winter is done. But so that's pretty much my forecast there. Let's take a look into some models. So let's first take a look into the CFS. And like I said about the precipitation before, you got above average precipitation really for the entire Northeast, the Ohio Valley, back into the Arlington region, in the Tennessee Valley, which indicates a pretty active pattern. So you get these lows that pretty much come up here, and they'll likely deepen as they go on here. And with cold air in place here across these regions here, there'll be an outside chance for some winter storm action here in nor'easter action in the northeast later on down the road. And that's what we gotta watch for across some of those regions there. You can also notice some slightly above average precipitation for the central northern Rockies, portions of the northwest, and even including the northern plains. We'll have some lows that go by. Likely most of those will be in the form of snow, so you guys could at least see some snowy conditions. And then as you look across, really, Florida, the Gulf Coast states, looking pretty dry. And it extends all the way back across portions of Texas, New Mexico, Arkansas, even into southern California as well, looking a little bit dry. It's also looking a little dry for the northwest coast of Washington and Oregon. But we'll see about that. But as we look into the Kansas model, it's a little bit more aggressive on the dry. But I think this is a little bit more accurate, slightly. Not a whole lot, but probably a little bit more accurate. You can see dry for nearly the same areas. But what's a little bit different about this one here is it does bring drier normal conditions into the central plains. We'll see about that. There may be a chance we could see that happening. Even including most of California, which you know how Mother Nature try to even things out. I know a lot of these folks seen a lot of rain and snow. Well, it's about time for things to calm down and bring you guys to a little bit drier weather, which I think that can be a likely scenario, especially as we kind of get into late, especially when we get to late February with typical La Nina uh, patterns. Well, exception for Northern California and Nevada and Southern Oregon, it's usually pretty dry. So, but we'll see about that. Pretty similar to what the CFS has, above average precip northeast of Ohio Valley, the Mid-Atlantic back across into the Northern Tennessee Valley, and also slight above average precip across the Northern Plains, the Upper Midwest, and even portions of the Northwest. So let's go back here to the CFS model, and we'll highlight the areas that has the chance for above average precip. So here, and pretty much about there. And if we kind of change our view here, and let's look into the upper dynamics. Okay, it does not save. Alright, I thought that would work. Well, actually, yeah, it works. Okay, so here's your upper dynamics. It does show some troughing. Let's get a different color out. It does show some troughing across really the northeast, the mid-Atlantic, up across the upper Midwest to the Great Lakes. And you can also see some ridging across really generally in the south in the northwest. That may be due to the PNA there. But you can also see her just off to the screen there. That's likely going to be some NAO conditions there, which we'll take a look to the teleconnections in just a moment. But it does show some trophic here, so you can actually get some clipper systems across some of these ridges here for the areas that have highlighted in blue. And you can see some snow across some of those ridges there as well. And we'll do the same thing with the Kansas model, highlight the areas that it's above average with precip. There we go. And take a look at those upper dynamics. You can see it's a little bit different here. It actually shows some southeast ridging here. Now, if this is correct, there'll be a better chance for severe weather, especially where we have areas highlighted here in the pink. That's where the model indicates some above average precip. So if the Kansas model is going to be correct, we can see some severe weather really, generally in these regions here. Which we gotta watch out for the severe weather season because this upcoming severe weather season does look to be a pretty active one for sure. But we'll see. Well, that'll be for a different video. But you can also see a pretty good troughing across the northern plains, the upper Midwest there as well. And let's go back here to the CFS model. And let's take a look to those 2-meter temperature anomalies. And you can see here when we put it on top of Tucson where it's predicting some above average precipitation. You can see here where some of these lows could come by here, bringing in some below average temperatures across these regions here. But where you're going to have this cold air in place, where we have the above average precip, there will be a decent chance for at least some snow. Now it does show portions of Maine above average temperatures, but keep in mind guys, your average temperatures are like in the, I think it's like in the 20s and 30s. So even with slightly above average temperatures, you're more likely experiencing some below freezing temperatures on average. So just to keep in mind of that. You can also see here it's a little bit all over the place across the northern plains in the northwest here, showing some below average temperatures across California and Nevada up to Oregon. But you can see here there could be some cliff persistence that come by here, and eventually, if these join forces, there could be some big storms here. But that's just a guess right there for now, but we'll see about that. And then we look into the CAN-SIPS model, and this is what it's thinking. Again, having a little bit better severe weather look, and it also does show with those 2 meter temperature anomalies, there could be a chance for some snow a little bit more into the Midwest and portions of the Ohio Valley, but we'll see about that. You can also see here it's pretty warm across south, but I think the CFS model may has a better handle on this. I mean, the CAN-SIPS model's not been doing a good job so far. The CFS model's done a little bit better than the CAN-SIPS model, but both of these are still not that great. But I'll probably trust the CFS model a little bit more than the CAN-SIPS model. So let's take a look at those teleconnections. So the PNA. Now, looking like it's by the models, it's definitely looking like it's going to be staying probably right around average here, at least to mid-February. But you can see here, there's quite a spread in the models here, and that's not that good if you're going to have a large spread. You got some that's slightly in the positive, you got some that's a little bit in the negative side. So we're going to see there. So that kind of indicates that the PNA is probably going to be a little bit more on the average side of all things. And you can see here, pretty much right around average there, which isn't a terrible thing for the eastern United States. It just means that it's probably going to be a little bit more active pattern, stuff like that. You're not really going to see much of any troughs or ridges or anything like that. And let's take a look to the AO, and it looks like we got a pretty decent agreement with this. You can see here we're going way in the negative, which does indicate there will be some strong ridging across the AO region. And you can see here quite a few of these balls do spike it up all the way back up into the positive side, but we'll see about that. There's still quite a large spread with that. And here's, I believe this is the ensembles. You can see here a very large spread in the malls, but the mean here is going to be staying negative, which is good news for really anybody in the eastern United States that brings the cold air down here, depending on some of the other tail connections, which leads us to the NAO, which should be in control of our weather, at least for the first few days of February. There's going to be a polar vortex coming in into the upper Midwest, bringing some very, very cold temperatures, which we'll make a video on that soon. But you can also see here, right around average. So basically what all this means here, we're probably going to see a little bit active pattern for nearly everybody. So you'll probably see some ridges or troughs, and that kind of continues on there. So basically a pretty active pattern for nearly everybody. That's kind of what this means here. I mean, you will have support of some cold air from an AO standpoint, but with the PNA and the NAO, they kind of around neutral, we'll probably likely be seeing a pretty active pattern for a lot of people. Likely at least for the 2/3 in the United States. So the last thing we're going to take a look into is the climate predictions forecast. You can see here they do have a chance for below average temperatures for a decent chunk of the United States. And you don't see this often from the climate prediction, but I do agree with their forecast here. Pretty good chance of below average temperatures across the northern plains, and also some chances for slightly above average temperatures, which is pretty similar to my forecast here. And I mean, overall, I do agree with their forecast here for February on temperatures. And then for precipitation, you can see our above average precip, and especially if you're going to add on top of to some below average temperatures, which will look like something like this here on their forecast. Pretty much like, roughly like that. You can see here I'm adding on top to some of this above average precipitation. Gotta watch for this region here closely to see if we can get any winter storms out of this, but we'll see about that. But medium range guidance do indicate there could be the chance for some winter weather action across these regions here, but that'll be something to watch for now, and that can also be for a different video. But anyways, guys, this is Ark for you guys today. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you guys like this video, hit that like button. If you really do like my channel, hit the subscribe button. Hit the bell notifications so you never miss an upload. If you guys have questions about this, you can put in the comment section down below. I'll answer you guys' questions. I'll see you guys in the next one. Goodbye.